Okay, we're on Yevamot Perek Tet Zayin Mishnah Gimel, third Mishnah in the 16th chapter of Yevamot. These are actually these last Mishnayot in Masechet Yevamot deal with the tragic case of someone who has died, and what evidence we require in order to determine that that person is actually no longer with us. That's the person. So it says the Mishnah, and this actually was, I remember when I was a rabbi in Michigan, these halachot came up very prominently when the tragedy of 9/11, and you had to determine like what technical evidence is required in order to determine that a person is no longer alive, as we'll see in the coming Mishnah. It says the Mishnah, "Ein me'idin ella al partzuf panim im achotem." You can ein me'idin ella, meaning we don't testify except. You can only testify on a face if you see the panim im achotem. Chotem are their nostrils. So actually, the Gemara talks about what do you need to see. The Gemara says you have to actually see the forehead down to the nostrils. You have to see a person's. You have to see, including the nose. It's interesting because when the old cowboy movies, you want to cover your face, you would cover the face. As long as you couldn't see the nose, it'd be hard to identify a person. So this, if you want to say that I know this person is dead, you have to see partsuf panav, his whole face. And if the body was mutilated, that there was no nostrils, then you can't marry his wife. You can't let his wife remarry because it might not have been him. Even though there are signs on his body or on his clothing, meaning if it's his clothing and his ID was there, you wouldn't rely on that. You have to rely on his face, on something that's uniquely identifiable to him. Nowadays, we do rely on fingerprints and DNA. Those are things that are scientifically determined to be part of that person. But back then, all they had was the identity of the face. Ein meidin, how do you know when a person is dead? Ein meidin agitates ein nafsho. You can only testify. You cannot testify until you know that he is dead, that his soul has left him. Let's you saw miguyad means minutach, meaning like he is ripped apart. His body's been mutilated. Or vitzaluv, lo aleinu, a person was crucified. Or an animal is eating him, lo aleinu, but maybe he survived somehow. I'm sure that it happened. Furthermore, you can only testify about a person if you saw him within 3 days of the time of death. But more than that, then a person's body physically this changes, and therefore you can't testify afterwards. Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba says something really interesting. Lo kol ha'adam v'lo kol ha'makom v'lo kol ha'sha'ot shavim. Not every person, not every place, and not every hour is the same. Let's look at the Bartanura for a second. Yesh lecha adam shememeher linapeach, go adam shamein, fat person, his body inflates over very quickly. Vesh makam makom she'adam memeher lasriach, and certain places the climate makes the body decompose. Ulishtanot bo, faster, kagon makom chama, like a hot place. Vesh lecha she'olam chash ve'adam memeher lasriach lishtanot, and the chalom cham, sometimes the climate is such that the world is hotter. V'akol lefi adam v'makom v'sha'a ben kula ben chum. It all depends on the place, the person, the hour, whether it's kula or chumra. Meaning the judges have to make their own determination about the testimony and decide whether this is really him or not. Interestingly, ein halacha Rabbi Yehuda. We don't pass on Rabbi Yehuda, but rather, I guess Chazal felt they need to establish criteria by which they would determine these really, really critical issues. Stop here and dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.